Students, just a reminder, as you begin drawing, you need to remember all the drawing things you learned in your drawing lessons. For starters, you don't start like this. You don't start with all of the little details and outlines. Instead, basic shapes. Remember, you're looking for angles, angle of the leaf, and you're making a map, mapping out where all of the things go. There you go. It's sort of like a pentagon. Now I can go in and do all those details, map it out, little detail at a time, speeding it up here for you so you don't have to watch me draw all day. Then you go back with your Sharpie and you trace all the lines, all the details, and we can add something called line weight, where I'm going back over the lines that I think are the most important and making them bigger and thicker and having more weight. Speed it up a little for you. I can erase all of my pencil lines now, and now I have a lovely ink drawing ready for water. The thing about watercolor is it has to have water in order to be colored. So you take from the water and you place it in the different wells of your palette. This is the palette. We're making the paint. You do not take paint directly from the watercolor palette and put it on your paper, because it becomes sticky and opaque and gross. Watercolor is made with water. You put it in the water. That's how you make the paint. And with this method, you can blend all kinds of different colors. The yellow was pretty gross, so I took a paper towel and blotted it, and it became bright yellow again. Now, I'm going to use a technique called wet on wet, which means instead of just painting on dry paper, I'm going to paint on wet paper. So, got some clean water, and I'm just going to paint the whole paper that I want wet. You could start out doing the leaf if you want to do that first. Just for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to start out with the background so I can show you what happens. So, painting with just water. Now I have wet paper. It's really easy to drop in color all over, and because the paper is wet, it bleeds together and blends together. All the different colors blend together. Now at this point, looks good. I'm happy with it. What I'm ready to do is the leaf. I'm going to get that leaf. I'm going to look at my leaf and make a new color for the leaf. Looks like yellows. Looks like some red oranges. Maybe even some brown in there. Okay. Like it. Ready for the leaf. Here we go. Now, notice the background is still wet. There might be some problems here. Oh, it bleeds together. Terrible. What a mess. Trusty old paper towel. All you got to do when you make a mess, folks, is blot at it with paper towel and poof, looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. What am I going to do in the meantime? I got a brand new piece of paper, and I'm going to make a second watercolor. And I'm just going to do my dog again, just like I did with my oil pastel, since I know how to do that. I'll ink it and I'll watercolor it the same way I did with the leaf. And I'm ready to stop because I don't want the white to bleed. So I'm going to go back to this one. Lo and behold, it's dry. And now I can paint the leaf and it won't bleed all over the background because it's dry. Isn't that nice? Speed it up a little bit. Got my reference in front of me. Painting from life. Okay, I'm happy with it. I'm going to let it dry and go back to the dog. Let's add a second layer of watercolor to the dog. Look, I'm adding blue instead of black, just like I did with the oil pastels. Looks great. Blue's always a better choice than black. I'm going to go back to the leaf and add a little shadow in there, like it's floating or like it's above the paper. Maybe over here there's some spots. I can add a little more variation to the black. And feel free to experiment, guys. You don't have to exactly know what you're going to do. I thought maybe I'd blot it. Didn't want those lines. To be honest, I don't know what I'm doing, but I like the way it looks. So the point is, you go back and forth from one painting to the other. You're waiting for one to dry, and you're adding another layer of watercolor to the next. And while that one dries, you add another layer of watercolor to the other, and you just keep going back and forth and back and forth. You end up with two really nice watercolor paintings. In a nutshell, that's how it works, guys. Enjoy your watercolors.